Shut up.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
What are you doing? Get back in.
My face is disappearing.
Brilliant. I'm absolutely, this is awesome. Fantastic advertising as well. It's brilliant.
That might have been sarcasm.
Wait, if I do this, I can make it so I'm just a disembodied head. I was playing around with it before. Where were we?
Why?
I was having fun with it, okay? There we go.
Like some weird angel descending down upon us.
Pretty much.
You're literally down under. I love it.
Yeah, pretty much.
How many coffees have you had, Anarosa?
Oh, Jesus. So after I spoke to you, I then went into the sitting room and just had like a little nap for like an hour and a half. And then I've just caffeined my way back up. So I was putting on some face and just like trying to get some eyes open and be like, I'm ready for my interview.
Good. So this time, we'll definitely try and keep it more just sort of bouncing and less of me and Dean ranting.
No, it was very informative. It was good.
Look, admittedly.
It was like, jotting down ideas. I was like, yeah, nice, good.
We've done
Poor Martin, though. He's all French Canadian and correct, and he's a really correct. He's such a correct man.
He's so correct. So correct. I love it. I'm not correct at all. I say all the time. I've got no It's unsavory, but we love it.
Australians are unsavoury. What am I doing?
We are. We really are.
Oh, and Pandy, whereabouts in the world are you, darling?
I live near London, so the south of England.
Oh, yeah. What's it like over there at the moment, like in terms of the thing that we shan't speak of?
It's a mixed bag. As soon as the sun came out, loads of people went out. But it's
hell with this, whatever. If I get sick, I get sick. Yeah.
But everything's pretty much shut up. My work is still open because I work at a school, but they don't need me right now. So I'm just at home homeschooling.
I feel for you. I do. I've seen the photos of homeschooling my daughter, and well, it looks like an experience, that's for sure.
I mean, I work as a teaching assistant, but I do not want to teach my kids.
Of course not.
I'm an assistant, not a teacher. I need professionals for this, yeah.
There you go.
Hi, puppy. Good evening. That's actually Dean's godson. He was my son. I gave him away.
I saved him.
Yeah, it was really lucky of Cuppy. He did well. Oh my God,
like
Ginger chub monsters. I love them.
He is a chunk.
Your cat's name was called Ratbag. I was like, that's very Australian. I was like, yeah. And she's this beautiful full black kitten. That Ratbag. I was like, yeah. So Australian. I love it.
We're pretty Australian. I think it's hard not to be. Like, I mean, if you're over here and you're drinking the water, it just sort of happens. Or beer,
So what flavor did Martin Barassa want from this show?
Yeah, look, we'll try and keep it nice and lean. Keep it down to about 45 minutes. We're probably wasting a bunch of time already.
It's been recording for the past 20 minutes. So.
You're a liar.
So the intro sequence is probably going to be the stuff I see before I even arrive. Pandy, are you drinking at 12?
No, it's only 11.
Yeah, it's a bit much.
Just orange juice.
I poured some gin into my slushy, so I'm drinking that right now. Well, I guess we're all gathering for episode 2 of what has now become the Puffy Eyes podcast. We've got with us a few different people this time. Obviously, myself and Dean and the man himself, Mr. Cupcakes, his cat. If you're watching, you can see him. If you're not. We've also got star of stage and screen, Anarosa Butler.
Thank you.
And Pandy, is it Yato?
Yeah.
Yato?
Yep,
Very
that's
good.
it.
She is another wonderful member of the team, and we just wanted to gather together to talk for about 40 minutes and hopefully come up with something insightful we've got a few questions. They've not exactly been vetted, and I don't know about you, but I forgot to bring a pop figure, so fuck that shit. We'll just do something else. Firing on all cylinders, I may have had a couple before I started, and yes, I am in a bear suit. To begin with, we don't really have any rules this time, because frankly, it was much, much more fun when it got naughty last time. So feel free to begin, embarrass yourself, and yeah, I'll start off. To everyone, how was your week? What have we all been up to? Pertaining to Road to Nowhere, obviously, if it's first video game that we'll be releasing later this year, but also in your own thoroughly interesting quarantined isolation lives, have at it. Who would like to go first?
I just finished watching a film where, what was it called? Came out the other day.
Dean's clearly very well prepared.
I know, I was thinking, yeah.
I know. It's called Arkansas.
Let me start.
Yeah. Well, I watched a film called Arkansas with John Malkovich.
It's Arkansas.
Well, whatever.
Arkansas.
Whatever.
Arkansas.
Well, then maybe they should spell it differently.
The S is silent. It's like a French S, like a French silent S.
Well, anyway, it has John Malkovich, Liam Hemsworth, the ugly Hemsworth.
They are all beautiful in their own right.
Well, let me rephrase that: the unwanted Hemsworth.
The unwanted Hemsworth.
Is he the smallest one?
Even the Hemsworth that nobody knows, that's slightly taller and really not quite as attractive, he's still like attractive by mere mortal standards.
I guess so.
Is that the Westworld Hemsworth? The one that's in Westworld?
That's the one.
Yes,
yeah.
that's the one. Yes.
Oh, sure. Listen.
It's a curse because his name is Luke, and it's like Luke Evans, Luke Owens. They're people, right? That's a thing. There's Owen. No, Luke Wilson. Glad I figured that out. Like Luke Wilson and Owen Wilson. It's like he's just a slightly lesser one. You don't see as much of him. I think of a Wilson when I think of Luke Wilson.
Well, he's going to have to deal with his whole life knowing he's the lesser one.
I just like to understand.
Dean, are you okay, love? Do you need a hug? Are you all right?
I've been sick all day.
Oh, love.
You can tell me
I can
this.
sense the frustration, and I'm like, does he just hate us? Am I getting fired? Is this like a really elaborate exit interview that you're going to do through a podcast?
No, I haven't been well.
If we fired you, we'd have to replace you, and I don't want to have to do that.
I'm unreplaceable. That's the problem. Yeah, I haven't been feeling well. Other than that, I did a bit of the game last week. I haven't done it the past few days. And this little kitty has been terribly ill the past 2 days.
Oh.
Dean's relative illness are kind of bringing down this podcast.
No, I'm fine.
Would it help if you put your background up again? You're really funky.
Maybe I can find a better background.
God, I feel
While
sorry,
you're looking
like
for a
Irish
background,
mother
though.
mode. I'm just trying to make sure that Dean is okay.
You need a cup of tea? You need a sandwich?
Sandwich.
No, I try to look after him. It doesn't work. I just keep offering him coffee.
You're in the same city, yeah? You guys, yourself.
We live 30 minutes away, yeah.
And given the current structure of the public transit, we might as well be hours away. Unless we can drive, to be able to get home drunk is difficult, which means we don't hang out that often.
You are so brilliantly Australian that your barometer is how you can get home when you're intoxicated.
Yes, and drunk's just the polite, broad blanket term for a variety of different things.
For a variety of states.
We do live close, but Melbourne's massive. It's absolutely massive.
It is massive.
Dean works over that side of the city, and I basically currently work on the game and work for Luminous over in NZ, so I don't really have to leave the house much anyway. So I'm basically in a state of utter bliss. I was in isolation before this happened, so yeah. How about you, Pandy? You're next. What have you been up to in the last week, or in fact in life in general?
I've been asked to test a couple of games, so I'm going to do that.
Can you break NDAs on the podcast?
No, I can't break NDAs. I haven't really done much. Every day kind of feels like the same.
It does.
At the moment.
I don't even know what day it is half the time. I'm just like, what's that? What day is it today? I
got really excited the other day. I thought it was Friday. I was like, yeah, it's Friday. And then it was Monday. It was actually Monday. I was really
That's the biggest
opposite.
I was talking to a mate, I'm like, yes, it's Friday. And he's like, what are you talking about? It's Monday, you weirdo.
Oh no!
I'm glad that I'm not the only one that has this problem.
A lot of the time I'm free to sort of get coffees and go and make lunch and go out for, quick sneaky trips to the shop and stuff. So it's not been too bad for us, really. It could be far worse.
Do you have to do the whole mask thing?
No. No.
I don't.
We don't have enough. Well, it's just like there is not enough in Australia.
Well, no, I don't need proper ones, just like really flimsy ones that. Really
I use a scarf sometimes. You should make your own.
I have one. I have a Harry Potter one, but I don't wear it. I mean, maybe that's why I don't wear it. Maybe I'm secretly ashamed. I'm not sure.
I would be.
I think I can just see the levels of hatred in Dean's eyes, and I don't know for what it is or for who it is. I think it's just then the cat's going to jump up and replace him in the chair, and then the cat's going to take over.
He's entering his black state.
Entering my black state. Yeah, I think I'm just over isolation, to be honest.
I think this podcast is more like let's talk about our feelings, Dean. How's
Yeah, this is our therapy. Look, this is it. This is my therapy. This is it. Me and kittens. That's all.
All I can say is my wife is like, oh, I hope isolation never finishes. This is great.
No.
Yeah, she's like that. She's seriously like that. The thing is, for her, nothing's changed. It's like the same for her now than when it was when in isolation.
Did you guys have gardens and things?
No, I don't have a garden.
Andy, I just have a completely. I've got like neighbours and home and away style houses in my brain,
Yeah, me too.
Moving away.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm not on the beach. I'm not on the
We
beach.
have the same cookie cutter housing as every other country.
I think Dean's got a point there in the sense that, like for some of us, like for me especially, I got kicked out of my old job, my IRL job, and then just used that opportunity to put more and more time into 15-bit. So realistically,
wow.
And given that I've got another sort of, minor sideline with Luminous, I'm just fucking writing it out. I don't mind. They can stay all disease ridden out there. I'll stay inside and try to get as much done as possible. Anarosa, why don't you tell us about what you've been doing lately?
Oh, I've been watching Home and Away. No,
No wonder I'm so angry.
I've been trying to keep busy actually just by looking for work online. A lot of voiceover work because that's anybody who's an actor now is just going
VA.
Well, you do have a green screen coming.
I know. I'm so excited. Thank you for that, by the way. I didn't know whether I could say anything or not. That is brilliant.
That's okay.
So,
15-bit needed to actually purchase a green screen kit with some lighting just so that we could get some certain assets off Anarosa for our fourth act of the game. That's part of the 15-bit loyalty program. So
they call it loyalty. It's actually like the mafia. Once they buy you something, that's it.
You're stuck. You're stuck.
Problem is, the mafia have guns and muscle and stuff, but we have nothing. So we're just like, okay, can you help us now? We're like, nah. Oh, okay, bye. We're not gonna do
not
it.
even annoying. But we have been seriously in quarantine for like 7 weeks. It was very, very limited, and it was like getting fined on the street or like the police going, "Oi, what are you doing? Get back in." So they let the kids and the parents out first, and we were like, "God damn it!" We didn't have a pet, so we couldn't walk that for like half an hour.
Oh, that sucks.
So they've just allowed us, like from yesterday onwards, it was like Christmas Day. I swear to God, guys, from 6 a.m. to 10, anyone you can walk, you can just go out and do exercise, and that can consist of anything really. It doesn't really, just wear a tracksuit. And you're doing exercise.
Our government's trying to make us download an app so they can keep track of us all. I'm like, oh, it's China again. Okay, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
This is what I've been doing with my week, actually. I've been falling down the rabbit hole of goddamn YouTube. And watching doctors, and they're like, no, don't wear a mask. It's worse for you because there's a woman and she wore a mask and she denied herself oxygen and she crashed the car. I know, yeah, they said it was COVID, but it wasn't. She crashed the car.
My wife's been showing me what's going on in Brazil, and in Brazil, they pretend that it doesn't exist. Like literally, the president Bolsonaro just pretends that it doesn't exist, and so they've got so many more cases. It's probably going to be worse than the US. Yeah, pretty bad in Brazil at the moment. So
it's like business as usual.
Yep.
But that's like
La, no testing, nothing. It's just the common flu. It's all good. That's Brazil.
And like, what's the vibe over in the UK, Pandy, now?
I think people are starting to just get fed up of lockdown.
Yeah, pretty much.
More than anything.
Don't worry.
What have you been up to, David?
What have I been up to?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought a bear onesie.
Is that all you've done all week?
Yeah. I have been having a very long week of trying to get as much writing done as I possibly could, and I haven't, which sucks because I actually wanted to get the first Act 4 scene mashed out that had all of Anarosa's lines. That would have been ideal.
I'll give you a written warning after this podcast then.
Thank you, Chief. The weirdest thing I had to deal with this week was moving over to Google Doc for another project I'm working on, because I'm just so used to working in these old school systems, and now I've got like a bunch of other people who are like, writing shit all over my work that I have to, attend to first. It's just interesting. It's been an interesting sort of experience getting used to Slack and getting used to online workspaces.
Slack is hilarious because, like, no offense to you guys, because it was very kind of Martin to include me. He was like, I will include you. He doesn't speak like that.
I will include you.
Yes.
Martin speaks like he's got a bit of French in his mouth. You know what I mean? It's just always there.
And he was like, I will invite you onto the team. I was like, well, that's very kind. I mean, I don't think, I was like, okay. It's like someone going, you're coming to the party. And you're like, am I? Oh, I'm in the party.
I honestly think Martin has an obsession with my beard. He always comments about how sexy my beard is, and it really worries me.
It's a good beard.
Martin has probably tested this game more than anyone else. Martin has seen your beautiful face as Cole more than anyone else. So he probably. Just, he notes changes in your beard.
Probably.
So here's a question: How is a wonderful French Canadian like Martin Bourassa? Where's the marriage of? Where's the union?
Okay, so I started posting about the game on Twitter like months ago, and then he just randomly found me and started like going, "This game's great. This game's great." And I said, "Oh, thanks, dude. Like, cool." And then I go, "Like, I need extras. Would you like to film yourself for an extra in a scene?" It's like, okay, and so he did. And blah blah blah, and he goes, "Oh, I can offer to do it."
Couch.
I know.
Yeah, I keep saying that's the cast.
You want to rotoscope yourself? Oh my god.
The green screen version, really.
That's all. That's what I call the studio in my garage. The green screen casting couch. So my wife gets.
It's because you're an unsavory character.
I'm an unsavory. And anyway, he said, "Oh, I can do a French translation for the game." And I'm like, "Okay. Oh, you work for a gaming website anyway. Would you like to do the PR? Because I really don't time for it. Like, I really don't.
I'm just amazed at how good he is at PR.
Yeah, and so I said, sure, right? He's access to everything. Go for your life. And yeah, he's just been doing it ever since.
And that was where this all began. To be honest, we would not be speaking to either of you two lovely ladies without him. So
that's
crazy journey.
Yeah.
Well, Martin actually, because Lesaya, Lesaya Finley, she did, she is one of your extras actually. She's at the American.
Lesaya, yeah.
Yeah, so I was on her podcast yesterday. So she tweeted about it, and I was like, "Oh, yay, she's awesome, great." So Martin saw that I tweeted her, and then, but this is the funniest thing. So Martin messaged me going, "Oh, hello, Anarosa." I said, "Yeah, whatever." And I was like, "Hey, Martin." He's like, "So I have a business proposal for you," and I went to bed. Right, and I was like, "A business? This is all in my head. It's like a business proposal. A business proposal. What does he think I have? Money to invest in a game? Who does he think he is?" So I fell asleep like that, like ruminating. I said, "What?" And then so I woke up and was like, "Hi, Martin. So what's this business proposal?" And then he was like, "No, would you like to audition for the game?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, sure, okay, yeah. What do I need to do?" Like the actor that I am. So I was like thinking, "Oh, Martin, be careful who you're telling you want."
Martin. I'm gonna call him that from now on. I go, "Martin, do you like my beard?"
I swear to God,
touch my beard, Martin.
I was like, "I've done 2 FMB games. I'm not made of money. What is this? What you want? What you want from me?"
It's just the 3rd FMB game, yeah.
Well, no, I've actually done 3. This would be my 4th one. Tiana Studios.
Yes, it's a new game as well. Yeah, his new one.
Yeah, exactly. So Darren, hopefully that's coming out soon. But God bless Darren. He's got coming soon for the past 4 months.
He's a meticulous gentleman. In case he's watching, Darren, we love you. But,
Darren
take your
knows I
time,
love
buddy.
him very much. I love him very much, but it's like coming soon in 5 years' time. It's just like.
I think the really interesting thing from 15-bit at the moment is that we're actually super surprised at how quickly it is all sort of coming together. If we can actually keep up this speed, we'll probably be making it, around.
As long as I don't get coronavirus, I'll be fine.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. But it's actually a beautiful, like the aesthetic of it is beautiful because I saw it's FM. Is it FMV strictly or is it not FMV?
No, it's
beautiful. It's a beautiful aesthetic, by the way. So congratulations on that one. Like I was showing it to my boyfriend, he was like, "Wow, that's just beautiful. It's just gorgeous." And I mean, I'm not a pro gamer. Like I know of games, but I know what looks nice and what doesn't look nice, and it's just really cool. Like it's just for an actor. It's like.
I kind of did the visual effects as like a necessity. I kind of just learned it as I went along. So I'm not even an artist, but somehow I was managing to get.
Oh, shut up!
I'm not. I'm not.
I'm so bad. And you're like, here's my Michelin star dinner that I just made out of nothing.
My primary skill set is being a musician more than anything else.
You're a musician, eh?
Yeah, I studied jazz at uni.
Primary school for a second.
You're a jazz musician.
Yeah, I'm a jazz musician.
Oh, so no wonder you're like, because everyone, if you like jazz, then you're like, yeah, you're all in the cool club, and the rest of us are like. Oh yeah, I heard the notes. I can hear them.
Into the cool club.
I'm a musical elitist. Yeah, my wife calls it wankery music.
Look, Dean loves the Spice Girls, but that's ironic. No.
You're lying. I was actually listening to Huey Lewis in the news yesterday.
Hey, nice.
Yeah, I was like, and then I was listening to it. My wife goes, "You are now truly dad material. You are now dad music." Like, that's shut up.
Let's just move on to the next one. Look, this is just such an amorphous question, but I always used to think about, what the hell I was going to be when I grew up. I was going to be like an archaeologist for a while there.
I wanted that when I was a kid.
I wanted that.
It was all Indiana Jones. It was all
it's like Indiana Jones or Jurassic Park. I wanted to be an archaeologist, but and then it moved on, and I wanted to be a film director. And now, honestly, I think more than anything, I want to write in video games, and I've got a real opportunity to do that. What is everyone else's big old dream? Where do you see yourself? Do you want to be married? Do you want to?
I want to be part of the 27 Club, but it's too late.
It's clearly not going to happen.
Okay, right. Let's stop this. I'm actually seriously worried about you. I'm going to Google Australian helplines. So, like, just ask.
I'm getting
into Blue. Come over to your house.
I'm worried about you.
I've been method acting way too long for this video.
Don't bring us into that. Don't drag us down into your whirlpool of angst and jazz.
Dean, I know for a fact, he first of all wanted to be a musician. Then he basically, I think, wanted to be anything but a musician. And I think ever since then, he's just wanted to, to make something beautiful with his mind, something that wasn't art. But aside from that, though, I mean, what is your actual dream at this point? What are you aiming for?
Initially, I studied music and then discovered that I didn't really like musicians very much.
True, they're terrible.
They are terrible. I was like, I can't be bothered with this anymore. Like, the politics involved in being a musician was just terrible. And then
FYI, I used to be in choir and musical theatre and all that shit, so I'm just as your average musician.
Really? You were in musical theatre? I would love to see
totally.
you. Oh my god! So what were your musicals?
Chicago, Les Miserables. I fired a gun on stage. It was fucking amazing.
Anyway, let me continue. Yeah.
You're a musician that you are. Go on.
I will. Anyway, I did everything from jazz gigs to metal gigs to even musical theatre. I played drums in the pit for ages. And then I just worked in IT underneath it the whole time because I knew I couldn't make any money from being a musician. And now I've worked in the same job for 12 years and I'm like, nah, I got to get out of this. I got to do something between artsy and IT. And the game was a bucket list thing. So I'll start making this game, message David, and the rest is history. So I just want to make focus all on 15-bit, to be honest. Like I just want to make video games now.
We'll move on. Next one, Pandy.
I guess it's not really job related or anything like that, but I want to travel more.
Yeah.
My kids are older now. They can go stay at their dad's. He's fine with that. And I just kind of realized...
I thought you were going to say, your kids are older now. They can fend for themselves.
I was thinking that.
I mean, 7 is old enough to make herself toast, so it is doable. No, just travel more. I want to see more of the world. I'm tired of... Maybe it's because of lockdown, but I realized I haven't done much in the last few years. So I want to get out there and see the world.
Look, I'd love to see the world, but I think, I don't know. I think I just got this thing inside my head where I just got to sort out my own shit first and then I'll travel. So I may not travel until
I can move to Europe and live there quite easily because of my wife. Yes.
I just ready to jump ship. I was like, okay, whatever. Bye, wife.
One of the things my wife and I wanted to do after, Australia totally crumbled was move to Portugal because I can move to Portugal without a problem. So I was like,
is your wife Portuguese?
She's Brazilian Portuguese. Her dad is Portuguese and her mum is Brazilian.
Bloody LD. Oh, you. Fucking hell.
So I can easily go to Portugal or Brazil, but I'm not going to Brazil.
You lure her with your jazz hands where you're like,
jazz hands.
Yeah. Just lure her in.
Yeah. You're Brazilian.
Yeah.
So Anarosa, do you just before that you just want to get more acting jobs to get more?
I want to be a pop princess.
You want to be a pop princess?
No, I mean this is just if we're going to talk if we're going to go down the route of childhood dreams.
Yeah.
I mean I've passed that boat about 25 years ago. But if Susan Boyle could do it,
yeah, you can.
I can still be a pop princess and Britney, but pre that.
Yeah.
So yeah, or I don't mind, or either of the Minogue sisters, Kylie and
or Danny. Well, you want to go Kylie more than Danny. Danny went a bit off kilter.
Well, what is she up to nowadays? She's off the radar.
I have no idea.
Probably hosting a reality show somewhere.
So either that, or maybe or just get more acting work and just carry on down that route as well. You know what I mean? But I'm with Pandy on the fact that I didn't realize how much, because I've got friends that love traveling. They have to travel all the time, and I was like, if I never make it to Mongolia, never mind. But now it's all right. I can die happy either way. But now it's a case of it just makes it so obvious. It's just so close to you now. You're like, I could have died and never seen, and I don't mean Mongolia, Iceland, and it's just around the corner. Living in Europe, we are so spoiled for choice. But then, I don't know about you guys living in Australia. What do you have? You can go to New Zealand, I guess, and then
that's about it. Or maybe Bali. I don't know. That's every bogan in Australia goes to Bali.
Yeah. And on that note, let's move on to the next question.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know about you guys. I don't know about Anarosa. I think generally, I know that all the other three of us are pretty big gamers. Anarosa, have you got an embarrassing game that you?
Oh, I saw that
loved?
question. I remember playing. Oh God, those really bad games on computers that were just you just used to shoot a ball and then a dragon or a frog would. I don't know.
I'm trying to think what this is. Sounds like a mobile phone.
It was on the keyboard. This is back in 2004, so it was literally on a huge computer, and it would just be one of these free games that you'd either
flash games.
Oh,
games, yeah.
This is how bad I am. I'm I don't know, the thing with the thing, and you just press the space bar. And
yeah, I know exactly what it is.
2 years later, you look up and you're like, oh, where's my life gone? And you're like, oh no, that was a delicious guilty pleasure of mine. But nothing beats Tetris, man. I was the Game Boy.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Tetris.
I loved Tetris, and then with the cable that would connect the other Game Boy, because that was forward thinking. That was technology at its best.
Before Dean breaks my brain, what's your most embarrassing game you've ever been addicted to?
I think quite embarrassing, but also quite awesome.
Wow.
It's called Hatto for Boyfriend, and it's a dating. And I got rejected by a pigeon at the end. That's how my dating life is going. Rejected by a game pigeon.
To get a boyfriend with a pigeon. That's what I heard. What? How to get you?
It's a visual novel type game. And, yeah.
And it's very strange.
Try and get one of them interested in you, but they're pigeons.
That's interesting. That was a hot take. I did not expect that. Well done.
Oh. I don't know if this is embarrassing or just an interesting story. Back when I was 12, for my birthday, my father decided to buy me the Leisure Suit Larry collection.
Oh, yay! I love Leisure Suit Larry.
I keep wondering if the games were for him or for me. And
Well, that's what I played with on the ship.
Play all this sexual innuendo, and a 12-year-old me had no idea. I was just desperately trying to get past it.
Hey kid, you want to know about the birds and the bees? Fuck it.
Yeah, he's Leisure Suit Larry, yeah. Actually, when I was a kid, I would literally grab a cassette recorder, grab some headphones, put it over the microphone of the cassette recorder and record all the game music and then listen back to it in my own time.
To all those young people out there listening, that's what we had to do before Spotify.
You had it in your
Recording
hand.
off triple
Cassette
You
tape.
had to press play and back physically? What do you mean? And then you might go ahead of the song and not at the right spot.
Yeah, I know. Makes me feel old.
Obviously, this has been absolute monumentally strange time for everyone. What's your current routine? How are you dealing with this shit? Are you actually not so much about masks, but more about mental health? What are we all doing? How are we staying well?
It was tough over here actually, because the first 2 weeks were like it was like, because we were told it would only be 2 weeks. We were all let off work and then we'd come back to work.
Wasn't your president sending out drones and like harassing people on the street, or was that Italy?
Could have been Italy, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was here. So but the first 2 weeks were weird. It was like a weird holiday, like a weird, like macabre holiday. We're like, ha 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 ha, we don't have to go to work. And then they were like, no. And we were like, no. And then like by week 5,
I think that summed up the isolation for everyone.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm kind of happy, but I'm not, but I don't have to wake up early, I guess. Yay. I remember like staying up late one night and going, I could just leave. I'll just leave the house. I don't care. And if they arrest me, I get to stay in a different place than I have in the last 8 weeks.
Yep.
I don't care. And then when you fall down the rabbit hole, you get to the point where like, doesn't even exist. They're just making that up. It's like, come on, sneeze on me, you know? So,
it's 5G. It's 5G, right? Isn't that what they're saying?
So it was kind of tough mentally
There
because
was a
it
silence
was
there.
now I just get to pretend to jog. I just walk really fast. And if somebody sees me without a mask because I'm not jogging, then I'll just kind of.
Yeah, it's fair enough.
You've got a full-on plan just in case like the Gestapo come after you. So, how about you, Pandy? What's the best tricks you've learned in self-isolation to not go insane, or have you not learned any?
I don't think I've had the time to learn any because my kids are going nuts.
Oh, but kids are, I think there's a double-edged sword there. I hadn't seen mine for about 6 weeks. And having saw it for the last 24 hours, I think that's kind of taken a bit of the edge off half of it, but it added another half of a different kind of edge, if you know what I mean. So
I'm loving getting to spend this time with them because obviously I won't get this time back, but they need something other than either my house or their dad's house. They need to go back to school. They need more of a routine than being at home constantly offers them. I'm not a teacher. I'm not their friends, and they need those things. Yeah. So when I've stopped going crazy, I'll tell you.
Dean, what's the big plan? How do you keep happy?
This is how I be happy. Oh yeah. I wish it was really like this. Now I'm getting jealous.
You're getting jealous of your own background.
I am. I'm getting jealous of my own background. My typical week is staying up for 3 days straight programming until I can't stay awake anymore, and then I crash for like 2 days, and then I get up again, and then I keep programming. Don't worry, there's nothing wrong with me.
Is there a deadline that you've placed on yourself for the game? Are you working towards that, or is it within the?
I did have a deadline, but I try to push myself as much as I can without destroying myself. I hope to have it done by like November, maybe October.
So just before Christmas then, yeah?
Yeah, maybe earlier if I can. It just depends on everybody else, really. Like, I do as much as I can, but David keeps rewriting stuff. Dude, I've added a whole new scene in the introduction. You got to put that into the game.
Puffy Eyes podcast, yeah?
Yeah.
Is that because you've made someone cry? Are you just like a little bit sleep deprived?
It's because our team is so international that we're always going to be on one side of the world to the other. So one half of us is likely going to be tipsy and the other half is going to be tired.
I like that.
Martin literally has the worst time zone possible. Like, because by the time I get up, he goes to bed, literally.
You could just see him. He was like, okay, I am in work. These are my colleagues. I'm going to do everything correct.
He's very dry. Very dry.
Very dry. He's
You're
very
trying to
very-
be all PG-13 and you're just like blah 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 like a child, like I'm saying every word that I can. And Martin,
That's me,
like
yeah.
Martin's like, haha. You were like, oh bless, oh you.
I have
He's
no
sort of
filter.
translating as he goes. I understand. I appreciate it. But having said that, whenever I send through like a super long like sentence with a whole bunch of different words in it, I generally have to wait a little bit longer. I got to accept that about Martin. He literally is a translator. It's what he does for a living.
It's
Oh,
not
you're
bad.
pretty.
Oh.
There she is. She disappeared.
Marianne, get out of the water.
Get out of the water.
There's a shark.
Now that we can see that Dean is dealing with isolation by drinking on the beach in a chair, we'll move on to the next one. We've only got a couple more left. For everyone here, we're all basically essentially a part of the games industry now. I don't know if we all meant to do that, whether that was the plan the entire time. I know the plan wasn't necessarily the case for me and Dean. What about you guys, Pandy and Anarosa? How did you sort of get into this gig? Did it just sort of happen?
No, I fell into it by mistake. It was have you seen Contradiction?
Yes, I played it.
Yes.
I finished it.
So the character of Ryan Rand,
Mm.
he's a good buddy of mine. So basically he was involved in the producing and the casting of the game. So that's literally, and we were friends. So he just asked me to be in it. And then that's lucky and
Snowball.
fluky. That's my story. Andy, you've had enough time to think, now go.
I just kind of fell into it. I always wanted to try games testing, and I saw an advert, ended up as the contract games tester for Xbox, based in Reading, near me. That didn't really fit into my life well, so now I work at a school, so in my spare time I still test games occasionally. And when it comes to 15 bits, Martin one day asked me about something in my Twitter bio, and then before I knew it, I was here with you guys.
Yeah.
So thanks to Martin.
A crafty
works.
Canadian.
He is crafty.
He is.
It is. He is. It is. It is. He
He's very crafty.
But look, honestly, it's for the best in the end because, frankly, none of us can edit and copyright worth a damn. So this is all just to ensure that the actual finished product actually looks as good as we intend in our hearts. Oh my God, there's Marianne. Hi,
Yeah.
Marianne.
Hi. Oh, are we in your
Hello.
bedroom?
Upstairs, kitchen / living
yeah.
area.
Is that like a duplex? Is that?
It's like a townhouse.
Like a
so
townhouse.
upstairs they've got their like kitchen and lounge and sort of a study area, and
Yep.
downstairs they got the bedrooms and the
Which is weird. It should be the other way around.
I mean green screen
That's
studio.
great. Fancy.
Fancy.
I thought we were in your bedroom for a second going,
No.
so is this where magic happens? I'm like, bloody hell, dude.
And I basically just got into this because I tried my hand at writing basically bloody everything, and why not games? I love games. I've been playing games for 30 years. I'm very good. Well, I'm not very good at them. I'm actually pretty terrible at things like Fortnite. I tend to get
Oh yeah,
owned
so
over-
guys, what's your opinion on Fortnite? Because when I
Hit
did
it.
kids dinner, every child is like, do you play Fortnite? And we were like, no, we get outside and live life in reality. No, I didn't say it like that to the kids after dressed like in Cinderella. Like just
I think that in 50 years' time, Fortnite is going to be like a synonym for masturbation. So it's just, it seems like something that's generally just confined to 13-year-old boys. But that's me, and I'm a very opinionated sort.
Can't you become like a superstar or something by winning like 5 million pounds or something like that? Like these huge competitions are
Yeah,
just...
there's competitive esports with it. You can
You
make
can
a
do
lot
that
of
with a
money.
lot of things. I mean, why not get so good at something like, Street Fighter? It's sort of renowned around the world.
Oh, loved Street Fighter. Oh.
We got 2 questions left. What is the worst job you've ever had and why?
Kitchen hand.
Kitchen hand.
Yeah.
Yeah, where was that?
That was in the city. I was like at a pub in the city back when I was like 20 years old. I hated every second of it. And I only lasted a few months because I had lots of body piercings back in the day. Had all my body piercings fell in somebody's food.
Oh no!
What type of body piercing? I used to have piercings and they never, ever were close to falling into people's
You didn't have that many piercings, clearly.
Yes.
How close were you to the food? What were you like?
I don't know. I don't remember why. I think maybe.
Carbonara is crunchy.
I don't even
So
remember.
gross.
It was a long time ago. I had 3 labret rings, a septum, and a fridge, and in my cheeks, and on my temples, and
Wow.
everywhere. And I was just covered in them. I was just literally covered in them. I was like, some of them fell out one day, and I'm like, oh dear. Oh dear, it's in somebody's meal.
That's a lie. He just went fuck it and walked out. You know it.
I'm done. I'm walking now.
Yeah, I'm fucked anyway.
Enjoy, my.
All right, next up, Pandy. Worst job.
It was a supermarket. I worked in the deli section, and I was there first thing in the morning, so we always got all the frozen chickens. So we just end up handling all this kind of half frozen meat, and I hated every second of it. Never again.
Anarosa?
I have two that jump out. I've worked in the hospitality for 20 years, and I did work as a kitchen porter. I hated it, but I never threw anything that was attached to my body into anyone's food. Dean, looking at you. You know, pyramid schemes. Now they're they're blatantly illegal now. Like they're blatantly, but this is back in 2002, 2003. So I was at uni in Liverpool actually, and my flatmate, she was like, "Oh, babe," so she pawned off a kit on me. Like, so she sold me a kit. And I remember walking around in the rain in Liverpool, like just deep down these streets, handing out wet magazines and then going back, picking up these magazines to see if anybody ordered something. And somebody did. And by then I was like, I'm not putting this order through. It's ridiculous. So they never got that. There's that. And then I remember working for 2.5 days, cold calling people to sell them gas and electricity. Again, and I remember I got to it got to Wednesday at lunchtime and I thought, I can't do this. I genuinely can't do this because firstly, back in the day when we could really scream at people in call centers, like now it's more regulated in that sense, but like a few times I got people that had died and the number hadn't changed, so there was that, and you're like, oh. Then lots of times they're like, fuck off, and you're like, I just want to sell you gas and electricity. So I invented a story and handed in my notice, and then I just left.
David, we could just mention all of the stuff that we did when we worked at the call center.
Dean and I actually met working for a call center.
Yeah, we did.
Did you?
Yeah,
one of the largest telecommunications companies in Australia. It was hell. But it wasn't as bad as my example. I don't know if any of the people on here have heard of something over here. It's very dear to our hearts. It's called Robodebt.
No.
I actually worked for the Department of Human Resources and a program built by the government to basically use an incorrect algorithm to leech back money off the most vulnerable Australians through a system that has since been found to be a little... It was absolute, it was the worst. You had to have the weirdest mind state just to get through the day. I ended up going through something with somebody where they had thought that they were going to owe $3,000 and they brought up all their pay slips. It took us 3 hours and we got that down to like $700. And I'm like, thanks for playing. Hung up the call. But it was terrible. It was the worst.
Oh, hang on. What was this, like a sneaky tax that nobody knew of, or?
It's basically the way that they do the social
welfare
social welfare system in Australia is that they ask you to declare your earnings. They're not very, very particular about it. They then go back every year now, or they have been for the last 5 years, and they compare what you said against what the ATO, the Australian Tax Office, has actually gotten. And oftentimes they would use that data back and forth across it, and that was wrong. So that was a part of the problem. That's why it's illegal. The other times is they'd use that to actually catch people who'd been earning money that they shouldn't have earned, or money that they hadn't said they'd earned. And it was, I mean, in some respects, it really depends. I guess if you're a really, if you dot your I's and cross your T's and you've always been a very, very good boy or girl, then I'm sure that you would not have anything to worry about. But for some of us, especially the people who've been just trying to do the right thing and finding out that basically just because you declared everything as net instead of gross, you suddenly owed $2,000 to the government. Yeah, exactly. As Anarosa just reacted there. That was my life for about 3 months, and I'm so happy I got fired.
Wow, you got fired.
I got fired. I was so upset. I was so upset all the time. But it was also a government thing. Like, they didn't give us coffee ever. They didn't give us there was no amenities. Your breaks were not allowed to be moved, and you couldn't do anything. You just couldn't do anything. It was a terrible job. Don't work for the Australian government. That's my motto.
Okay, thank
Never again.
Okay.
Never again. Never
Look,
again.
as much as everyone thinks Australia is just this beautiful place, and it is, we have one of the most gorgeous places in the world. It has one of the most rapacious governments in the world.
Oh, yes, it does.
I mean, you guys really do put up your obstacles to try and get in and like just maybe work for a bit. It's like, no! What are you? How old are you? No, we only want young people. Beautiful people.
I had to pay $10,000 to keep my wife in the
Show us your photo.
Yeah, give us a photograph. No, you're too young to get in. But it's like, are you a lawyer? No, then get out. You're like, well, I've got the skills. No, you don't. No. Fruits, get out. Get those bananas out. Stop it.
So,
You're like,
Pandy, if you're gonna come over here for a bit and you really like it, just stay here illegally. It's all good. Just it's fine. You know, I've seen it. It happens. It's all good. We'll get you through it. And with that all in the can. Look, honestly, this is just a joke question. This is sort of wrapping it up. So it has been wonderful. This has been a really different flavour to the last time. I haven't laughed this much in ages. What is, and I'm sure look, I sent this to everyone first, and I know this is a really hard thing because you got to sort of think to yourself, how do I answer this in a funny yet not too embarrassing way? Just do it. Just go straight for embarrassing. I believe in you. What is the absolute worst musical album you've ever bought? Ever?
I don't do worst. I'm an elitist.
Okay, what's your biggest musical regret buying? So we'll circle back to you. Anyone else?
Yeah, yes, please do.
What is it? Do I regret buying them? I mean, I did. I was given Spice Girls, the first album, as a present, and then I actively went out and bought the second album once CDs were out. The thing is, I grew up in an era where CDs were like, if you made a mistake, that was 12 or 15 pounds down. You know what I mean?
You weren't
like,
getting that back.
You're like, you're not getting that back. So, I mean, a couple of dodgy singles, yeah, a bit of Ace of Base.
Ace of Base.
I love that. So that's perfect. That's how you should answer this question. Handy.
I guess it would be Peter Andre's first album. I was a teenage girl when he was kind of about, so we didn't really see many kind of musty, oiled up men under waterfalls in my area. So I had a little bit of a
everywhere over here.
Yeah. And that's why I'm coming to Australia.
to see oily men.
They go overseas.
All right, David.
Dean, have you had a bit of chance?
See, I don't buy bad albums. I don't.
God, he is elitist.
I am elitist. This is the problem. I am elitist. Let me continue from the start. All right. So my music taste stemmed off my dad's vinyl collection, which was like Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, Pink Floyd, all that type of stuff. So that's what I grew up listening to. So I guess the worst album I ever bought is Michael Jackson's Thriller, and even still, that is a good album.
That's a great album.
I know, exactly. So I can't help you. I never bought anything.
Let me see if I can. Okay, I'll bring. Okay, the worst album I ever bought, and I loved it, and I just chucked it on the other day. It's still good. It's the Batman Forever soundtrack.
Oh,
yes.
I kind of got one, but it's still really good. I've still got a good one. I bought the Ren and Stimpy soundtrack.
The Ren and Stimpy what?
Soundtrack.
The Ren and Stimpy soundtrack. That's awesome.
That's great.
Joy.
Yeah. And I memorized all the lyrics after 2 days of listening to the whole album. But still, I still don't think that's bad.
That's not really a bad CD, but you know what? I'm gonna let you have it. I'm just gonna let you have it.
Good. Thank
everyone else, you've played the game so beautifully, and thank you so much for coming along. I think at this point, what are we up to now, Dean? What's our timer?
We are 1 hour and 10 minutes.
Oh, that's so much better. Lucas isn't going to kill me this time, so we should be able to get this to an even 45.
Okay.
Thank you so much, everyone. This has been lovely.
Guys.
Yeah, it's been really different last time. Almost heartwarming.
And Dean, you look after yourself. I'm worried about you. So unless I'm going to be sticking down helplines in Slack just in case.
That's brilliant. Don't. Just everyone stay safe, be wonderful to each other, and I will be communicating with you henceforth. I'll talk to you soon.
All right, see you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.